Hey guys, I wanted to bring you a series about vision in Dota 2, and part 1 will be about unobstructed flying vision. I could probably go on for 20-30 minutes about flying vision, and I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet as much as I can. So, the importance of vision has been stressed by professional players and casters alike. Let's examine one facet of vision, unobstructed flying vision. So, pretty much in every single cast, and if you hear professional players talk about important points in a game or key moments, key phases in the game, vision will almost always be brought up. It is just that important in Dota 2, and being able to see what your opponents are doing, see what's going around the map, and get that flow, get that game sense. It always helps when you can see more of the map. And unobstructed flying vision just means that the vision is not hindered by heights, not hindered by cliffs, trees. You can just see in a full whatever radius it may be, let's say 1800 radius for daytime vision. You can just see in that whole entire area, nothing blocking you. So if we travel way back in time, unobstructed flying vision with these three abilities, I think were considered the most broken of all time. Old school Visage with flying gargoyles. So imagine like Batrider with Firefly on. He had like 1800 flying vision in his heyday, except multiply that by like 7. You could have like one gargoyle at top room, one at bottom room, one at the roach pit, and 4 just doing whatever else and usually killing people or farming lanes or farming neutrals. The amount of utility and the things that you could do with like 6 or 7 flying gargoyles that can attack and have massive flying vision, it was completely broken and just kind of ruined the game for a lot of players at one point, and to the point where it just had to be reworked. Beastmaster with permanent invis hawk. His hawk is okay right now. Sometimes it's like first pick, but it can be dealt with. Before, it used to be a permanently invisible hawk while it was moving. It used to move faster, and it was much more durable than before and granted less bounty. Like, the amount of nerfs that the hawk has received is incredible, and that just goes to show you the potency of the skill and how weak the hawk needs to be in order to compensate for the amount of vision that it grants. And Broodmother with True Sight and Vision inside the web. Yeah, the web used to not be as big, but True Sight and Vision inside each and every single web, that hero was like first ban all the time at some points in competitive because of that. True Sight and Vision inside the web. What was going on there? And then if you travel back to 1 to 2 years ago, we have these heroes which had their heyday. Batrider, flying vision from Napalm, flying vision from Firefly with full daytime vision, just broken. Mirana, her arrow was incredibly good and received multiple nerfs at one point, and she was played at like every single position during her heyday. I think that was around TI4 qualifier period. Shadow Demon, I think it was 6.78, maybe around the TI3 phase when Lifestealer was really popular. Whenever you hit someone with Shadow Poison, you would see them while they were poisoned. It was like a mini track every single time you got hit by a poison. That portion of the vision got completely removed, and Shadow Demon fell off accordingly. Bounty Hunter, with this track used to be so much stronger. It used to give minus armor, but it's not necessarily flying vision, but it's still like really good vision and just completely destroyed teams. Elder Titan with his ancestral spirit, that had to get heavily nerfed because he was one of the best supports in the game, and after receiving multiple nerfs, now he's one of the worst. AA and Clockwork, I kind of lump them in the same category because they have something that provides flying vision that's on a pretty long cooldown, relatively long. AA and Clockwork, you can scout out Roach Pit, you can scout out wherever you want to globally at a pretty decent response time. And AA was considered one of the best supports, and Clockwork probably considered one of the best offlaners in this day and age, as well as a couple of years ago. And then if you fast forward to very recent patches, we have Zeus and Storm, who got hit by the nerf stick recently. Both got hit with a vision nerf on their ultimates because it provided too much vision, just gave you way too much information. And then these next 5 are pretty darn hot right now, maybe with the exception of Night Stalker. Bloodseeker with his Thirst, Coddle with Ags, just makes pushing high ground incredibly easy, one of the go-to supports for Team Secret, widely considered one of the best teams in the world. And even EG, they devised a strategy purely just to farm Keeper Light, this Aghanim Scepter. So you could get the daytime vision as well as the healing and, other benefits too, but the daytime vision when you're pushing is so invaluable, and just farming that one item alone can win people games. Night Stalker with Ags. Night Stalker went through that phase where he would just ban all the time first phase because you couldn't deal with darkness. Tusk has two abilities that give very good vision. His Frost Shards as well as his Frozen Sigil, one of the best heroes right now. And Dazzle with his ultimate on demand vision, flying vision in a very, very large radius. And it's a pretty low cooldown. And if you hit enemy heroes, that's all the better. But I would say that's almost a secondary effect to the vision that it provides. And why is it considered so strong? So what? You see people. You scout out enemies' formation in large team fights. These are the three obvious ones. You take fog out of the equation, and you nullify the high ground advantage trees and buildings. And when you're in a defensive posture, you always need fog. You want high ground advantage. You never want the opponent to see you so you can get off your spells and catch them by surprise. But when you have unobstructed flying vision, take fog out of the equation, you take the high ground advantage out of the equation, and when you're defending your base, you almost have no advantage. How incredulous is that? And then on top of these main things that you can do with unobstructed flying vision, you have the added utility of scanning for smoke, scanning for Roshan, scanning out for baits, counter ganks. You can immediately kill weak supports without fear of repercussion because you know where everyone is, and some of these ultimates just will immediately kill one or two heroes if used properly. I think one good example of that was like DAC, where EG used Zeus ultimate to scatter all the heroes, and if they saw one hero that was slightly out of position, Sumail would just zip in on Storm and just pick him off immediately. And you always had to be in perfect formation, or you just risk losing one or two heroes immediately, straight off the bat. So most importantly, it gives people information, gives players information as to what the opponent is doing. You can judge from their position what they're, where they're going, what they have in mind, if they want to fight, if they don't want to fight, if they're split pushing, if they're smoking, if they're trying to get the jump on you, if they're doing Roshan. Like, you can just tell what they're doing just by seeing what they're up to. And Sun Tzu's Art of War is very relevant to Dota, even though it was written a couple thousand years ago. And ultimately, Dota is a strategy game. You have to mastermind clever strategies to outsmart your opponent. And generally, the better team is not always the one that executes well, but just one that has a better game plan, the one that can read the game better, read their opponents better, and devise something that can counter what the opponent is trying to do. So all warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. And this quote, all warfare is based on deception. All this goes out the window when you have vision. Like, you can't catch the opponent by surprise when they can clearly see what you're up to. So you need to be able to manipulate the fog, just maneuver through the shadows in order to attack your opponent and win a team fight. And sometimes that's just not possible with those prior heroes in the pool. And if your enemy is secure at all points, be prepared for him. If he is in superior strength, evade him. Rat Dota. If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant and throw. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. Kind of exert and keep map control over the map. If his forces are united, separate them. Attack him where he is unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. But you're never going to be not expected if opponents have all this information and vision over what you're doing, what your plans are. And it is said that if you know your enemies and know yourself, you will not be imperiled in 100 battles. And generally, you know yourself and your team in Dota game. Well, kind of know yourself in pubs and your team. But knowing your enemies is even rarer. And being able to predict what your opponents are going to do and read them like a book only gets easier with information. And when you can kind of predict what they're going to do with like very little information, with like, you know, one or two heroes on the map, that's when you are really good at Dota. That's when you can, you know, kind of be next level and predict what opponents are going to do and be in this like perfect position to counter their movements and pop their smoke and just completely catch them off guard. And the more vision you get, the easier it's going to be. And that may be a very obvious fact, but the greatest players will know what to do, will know where people are with the least vision. And I think one of the things that really stuck to me when I was playing with Clairvoyance. He says he really thinks that Sumail is a good player, not because of the way that, you know, he like zips around with Storm and manages mana. A lot of people can do that, but of the way how he always knows where people are on the map, whether or not they're in the fog. And almost all the top tier players will be able to do that. Like they know where you are even without any sort of vision. So you know, it obviously becomes incredibly easy once you have all these abilities, but just having vision of your opponents, whether in your mind and through the fog or just something very clear with Zeusol, is the first step to winning in Dota and becoming good and making good decisions. So hope you take this lesson to heart. Thank you guys for watching. You can subscribe to my channel at youtube.com/Merlini Dota. I will be back on Thursday. See you guys. Thanks for watching.